My name is Sheila Sisulu. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the World Food Programme, focusing on hunger solution.
Now, WFP has been very much in the news of late with the current food crisis and your concerns about how to feed all these people and the fact that there's obviously going to be a lot more people to feed. Mm-hmm. In terms of the meeting here and the call for an African Green Revolution, how do you feel about the two things? Because there is a concern that with this food crisis, it's going to be very much a knee-jerk reaction, which is perhaps not the best solution.
I think everybody's agreed that this crisis is a wake-up call globally, but in particular for Africa, to invest in agriculture. There's no question about that. But in the time that it will take to raise awareness and actually get to planting and growing food, we're afraid people could die. And the World Food Programme, at times like these, is the international arm of the UN to make sure that in times of crisis, nobody dies from hunger. And that's where we come in for the immediate short term. But in this particular instance, this immediate short term actually buys time for people to live so that they can live another day to plant, another season to harvest, and to get back where they are providing their own food. The Green Revolution, therefore, needs to kick in almost now with the space provided where the bulk of the people, many of whom are people who really cannot feed themselves, refugees, if you look at internally displaced people in Darfur, there's no way that you would say the Green Revolution is going to work for those people. If the prices go up as they have done, doubled, trebled in some cases, we, with the resources we have, can only buy less, in fact, food than is needed. So it's really quite a big crunch for us to even continue feeding the people who desperately depend on the food that we provide. But a new dimension, of course, that many governments, of course, are rightly concerned about is the urban poor, where even the employed poor are not coping with these new prices. So it's going to be very, very important for governments in the medium term to strengthen whatever safety nets they may have, and whether it's cash coupons or it's coupons or subsidizing basic foods or removing taxes on basic. They need to also, that's kind of a second level buying time that allows for the long-term strategies to kick in and hold.
So in effect, you're buying almost a future for these people because you are being able to feed them. You're also buying time and space for governments to put in place these strategies.
Absolutely.
But do you feel that with all the diverse discussions going on here at this meeting and the fact there's still very diverse views about how these long-term strategies can be achieved, that what needs to be put in place now will actually be put in place to save those people, if they've been saved today, to still save them in another 2, 3, 5, 10 years' time?
I think that there is nothing that focuses the mind of politicians than the possibility of losing elections or votes, or even to have global or even major unrest in their own countries. And I think, having seen what is happening in other countries, governments are standing ready to do whatever it takes. The big challenge is, what will it take? And it should, what we need to make sure in discussions like these is that we come out with implementable, doable solutions that will enable governments to use the time that interventions, the short-term and medium-term interventions, is buying for them. Otherwise, we know historically many governments have fallen on such issues, and I think many governments are aware of that realistic reality. The only issue I would raise for all of us to also be focused on, and it came up in one of the papers, is the issue of the green revolution and malnutrition. Because Africa in particular, and Malawi was used as an example, good example, put the inputs in there, people will grow the food. That's great. But as the presenter himself said, it was all maize. So the challenge for the green revolution immediately as it starts is in fact in talking about self-sufficiency, in talking about food security. It must specifically be also targeting issues of good nutrition. So diversifying the crops that people will in fact be growing is going to be essential.
So you obviously have a nutrition background, you've got this interest in hunger and in saving these people. What do you particularly want to see coming out of these discussions by the end of tomorrow?
A plan. A plan that answers the question, what are we going to do on Monday? For many of the people who are here. Especially, there are some farmers here, women farmers. If we could focus our minds as we do these discussions, we have one who spoke today, or one who was characterized in one of the presentations. Keep her in mind. What will she do on Monday? What is she going to get from all of this on Monday? I think we will be able to find what should come out, because it is for her that we are doing all of this, because it is the woman who grows food in Africa. It is the woman who takes care of the family in Africa. It is the woman who needs to be empowered to grow more food, to grow it in sustainable ways, and to consume for her and her family a balanced diet that is nutritious and that is diverse. So how do we go from here to there? We need to answer those questions, placing the woman farmer as the recipient of the outcomes of this. I think that will then frame what those outcomes will be. As for me, as I said earlier, we need to keep the nutrition issue very close to the issue of the big production drive. It's production and consumption that we have to, that I would like to see the two coming out together.